Good morning. It's well, I made it. I got recuperated or resumperated. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but man, I was out. I was sleeping like well, I wasn't sleeping like a log, but I was trying to catch some rest. Oh man, actually, that blue chair is pretty damn comfortable. Is what I would tell everybody. So I hope y'all are having a great day. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. It is Thursday, and the weather is, well, blowing in. So stand on by. It was rain, and that is going to spurt snow by the time it's done. So if you're along the Appalachian Mountains, just be aware, or you should already be hitting you probably. In fact, I think it's snowing down in like Richlands and Tazewell out there in Western Virginia. Wow. But, man. Is that me, or does it look foggy? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just foggy. But no, this thing doesn't look right. Anyway, we're kind of waiting on Rev Radio to get kicked in the door here. We got about a couple of minutes over there. Might as well listen to some stuff. Yeah, might as well listen to some music while we wait for Revolution Radio.
The shadows creeping closer, the banners hanging low, a silent war of whispers that nobody's supposed to know. Underneath the surface, they pull a string so tight, a puppet show of promises fading out of sight. Corrupt decree and tyranny.
Hey, good morning, Johnny.
The dark side of the game. They're stealing our tomorrow, but they'll never take the blame. The deep state's dirty deeds, running wild and free. While justice hides in shadows, we all drown in their decree. They rape, rob, and pillage, breaking spirit, breaking soul. For the willing, they will steal it, take control, take control. The mind and pockets empty, left with nothing to behold. They're enslaved by ego, and it's time to be bold.
Ah, yeah, we gotta stand up, man. You know they're gonna
Subliminal control,
leaders.
a web of lies we've tied. Society subservient, it's a silent fight. The echoes of our failures drown out the sound of hope. But we're stronger than their tyranny, together we will cope. Oh, the deep state's dirty deeds, we won't let them pass us by. Time to rise and stand united, let our voices touch the sky. They rape, rob, and pillage, breaking spirit, breaking soul. For the willing, they will steal it, take control, take control.
Yeah, good morning, good morning. Let's pause all this music. Let me get you. I gotta pull it up. I got 6 layers. Sorry. Hey, good morning. It's time for the Revolution in the Morning show. Live from Franklin County, Virginia. I'm your host, Mitchell Buck. Come on down and join us on multiple platforms like Revolution.radio, Rumble.com, Locals.com, and back over on YouTube, okay? Wind is out there blowing like hell right now, in all honesty. And it's lots of weather changes coming in. I mean, it was 85 degrees yesterday, and today, or it's going to be snow up on the upper elevations of the hills and the mountains. So yeah, wake up! It's time to get the straight truth, not this mainstream media bullshit. Let's see, where should we start? I am telling you. God, it's almost like a Monday morning. Got so much news and information. I guess the biggest place to start is, Israel's war against Iran. Actually, let's be honest. The United States has been itching to bomb Iran since 1978, okay? Since those hostages were taken. And that peanut farmer from Georgia, who was a what? Look at Jimmy Carter's jobs, job in the U.S. military. Has to do with nuclear power. Anyway, regardless, okay? Iran is saying, screw you. Still launching hundreds of drones at Israel. Launching drones at other places. Right now, the Straits of Hormuz, which Donald Trump said, your courage can protect you as you go through the Hormuz Strait. U.S. military says, sorry, but we are not going to provide escorts. Now, they have escorted 1 or 2 ships, okay? But there's all kinds of conflicting news coming out. But what we do know is that right now there's 2 oil tankers that are, well, let's just say up in smoke, all right? They're burning like hell in the Straits of Hormuz, okay? Lloyd's of London come out yesterday and kind of pretty much said, look, insurance coverage is available. It's okay. We don't think it's that big of a threat. One tanker was believed to be an American tanker, probably going on the words of Donald Trump, and of course the idea that they will be have some kind of protection. Donald Trump, of course, and the White House is bragging how they sunk 16 mine-laying frigates or small boats that would go out and lay mines. Listen, they really don't have to do that anymore. I know that. You know that. The U.S. military knows that they can launch boats laden with explosives. So anyway, it is, let's just say it's a kaboom. Oil prices have surged again up towards $100 a barrel after Donald Trump ordered the release of 140 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now remember, Democrats sucked that down to offset the price of, what was that, the greed deal, when they said, we got to change everything over to electric, and we got to do it right now. Even though we didn't have the infrastructure, we didn't have the power plants, we don't have the extra energy to be literally using in all of these, in electric everything. Anyway. There's a lot of problems that the Democrats didn't care. They believed that they put hundreds of billions of dollars, push it towards that it would be okay because you get the infrastructure in place. Even if it's so fucking expensive later that it kills, the economy, hey, it's okay. Anyway, 2 oil tankers attacked and exploded in Iraqi waters, didn't even forcing Iraq to stop operations at its oil ports. Largest wave of missiles since hostilities began is launched into northern Israel out of Lebanon, of course, where, Israel has taken upon itself to been bombing the shit out of, well, let's just say anybody and anything, okay? I mean, listen, I honestly believe Israel doesn't give a fuck, okay? They run an AI model, just like they use AI modeling of who and how and what are they going to bomb next in the Gaza Strip. Now remember, it's fucking rubble from start to finish. This 140 square miles, the size of Brooklyn, New York, okay? Leveled to the fucking ground. Listen, I'm just reporting the facts. I don't have any respect for Jews or Muslims because of their religion. All right, I'll just say it right up, okay? Anyway, I just don't believe that people that worship a religion of supremacy, that they are literally they are superior to you because they are Muslims or Jews. Okay, that's a non-starter for me. And everything after that, once you look at Israel and Islam through that lens of reality, that they believe that they are superior to you because you are not one of them, okay, and that their religion and their Shia laws and everything else allow them to literally use you as a maggot to clean a wound, basically, okay, of humanity. That's pretty fucked up to say it like that, but that's, they don't care. They just think you're like that chicken the Jews swing over their head and then walk on the fucking thing to kill it, to get rid of their sins. Man, never mind. All I'm saying is, evidently they turn that chicken into God and then kill it. That's almost what it seems like. But I don't believe all the bombs and bullets and everything can fix anything in the Middle East. That's the truth that nobody wants to say. And everybody believes that they have to jump on one side or another. And the truth is, the world shouldn't touch either of those groups with a 10-foot cattle prod. So, Lebanese terror group Hezbollah showered rockets and drones on northern Israel. Well, they're bombing Iran. They're bombing anybody and everything that doesn't admit that they're enslaved by the Jews. Okay, we'll just call it what it is. All right, we'll call it the old time Democrat slavery of the Middle East. We got two groups that are no different than these old time Democrat slave owners in the South, believing that we're superior to that whatever person, that black person that we have enslaved. And then, when you get to Northern Africa, it's all the Europeans, white slaves that have been imported into Africa and across the Middle East. But by God, we can't say anything about that, can we? As I said, the Middle East is and will continue to be a clusterfuck. Period. Okay? But what it does show is the U.S. and Israel have no, how should I say it? While they claim they're trying to change the regime or change the leadership, as Donald Trump said, I'll bomb the new president too if he doesn't do what I say. God, it's starting to sound like fucking Abigail Spamberger president, I mean, it's hilarious, okay? It is. It's basically how far has the American government and American morality, how far has it fallen? Like my dad used to say, you got your head screwed on backwards. Yeah, Daddy, yeah. I do that sometimes. I done smoke myself sometimes, Dad. Oh man. But oh God, yeah, and you know these. You have to understand, we're not talking about. Let's see, the tanker Safe Sea Vishnu flying a Marshall Islands flagged, and one Iraqi company contacted with SOMO, and the tanker Azef Voros flying a Malta flag carrying condensate produced by the Barassa Gas Company. Evidently, you know, they were trying to go through the Hormuz Straits with their courage out in front of them, being their protection. I mean, it's the fucking ludicrous shit. Just like in World War One, when you know the machine guns are blazing and the British officers are get up there and run through that wall of fire, and your British, you know, heritage will deflect the bullets. Crazy, isn't it? Anyway, here's a little fishing trip. Hey, Fred, when you got to turn the lights on at night, you always a flaming tanker is always helpful. You can't. There's not much sound, but it's a picture of a tanker, literally, you know, just literally in flames, 100-foot flames engulfing it from stem to stern. I mean, really, from front to back, man. It's boom. So anyway, tankers whose cargo filled with naphtha and condensate, you know, literally, you know, are extremely flammable. So, you know, they just have to punch a hole in it and get it on fire and it'll blow itself up. But then again, that's how a lot of munitions work today. So, yeah, while that war goes on, while the war in, you know, in the Middle East, you know, because it's really not defined where anymore, okay? I mean, let's be honest, all right? Because, you know, you got Azerbaijan, you've got Georgia, you've got Armenia, and you even got Turkey. All, you know, up in that little stretch between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. I'm telling you, it's going to go kaboom! And people are going to wonder why. And, you know, it really is. It's because it's all destabilized. And everybody believes that they can take a piece out of somebody's ass and keep it. It's good old-fashioned human greed and human resources. The need for resources. Oh, yeah. You know, that does explain a lot about what Donald Trump is doing if you're not paying attention. Now, you know, this coming conflict between the U.S. and, well, the rest of the world that hasn't taken a knee already, that hasn't cried, Uncle Donnie! Uncle Donnie! Yeah, remember, Donald Trump is essentially a puppet of this weaponized, militarized system. And, you know, who would have thought, you know, Marco Rubio would be literally the star of the Trump administration. Now, everybody and their brother knows and should know and understand that Marco Rubio is, you know, might as well be John Bolton. I got John Bolton mustache going on. But yeah, I need to get that trimmed. And man. Anyway, yeah, a good truth bomb in the Middle East. You know, that would, like it did in London. That kind of makes people turn the corner, and away they go, man. And the game is on. But if you don't know, you know, these rare earth minerals that we all talk about, okay, or people talk about because there's, you know, you need 400 or 500 pounds of them. to make a fighter plane or to make a missile or to make something today, okay? Well, it turns out that according to a lot of people, there's only 6 month or 60-day supply, a 2-month supply here in the United States of rare earth minerals that are left for manufacturers in the United States, okay? And remember, a lot of that stuff is already being hoarded up, okay? Also, just don't forget, the beef, that thing with the beef cattle. I was like, damn, that is crazy. The price of cattle, calves, up tenfold. Okay, from $200 to $2,000 each. I mean, how big are you going to have to raise that cow? And of course, don't forget, now they're trying to put in, now they're trying to use, Mitch, what'd you do? Now they're trying to use, damn it. mRNA vaccines on all kinds of farm animals. And if those things have due to the farm animals what they've done to humans, man, that's not going to be good for anybody. You won't be able to eat the meat. But anyway, there's so many conspiracy theories about all that going on, and it's if you stay compartmentalized, if your mind just looks at that and then looks at this and then looks at the robotics that we have today, okay, knowing that the big challenge is the power packs to drive the software in robots, okay, and they need a biological brain. Okay, combine that with these brain organoids that they literally neuron masses that they create that align themselves to play the game of doom. Okay. Now combine that with mRNA technology and this what's this gel, this hydrogel or some kind of nanoparticle gel that is going to function as a communications, a carrier wave, across to the cells themselves. Listen, I know it sounds crazy, and I know this is something that people may or may not do. But sometimes you have to look at the pieces of the evidence that we have today, and then look and think of think of Dr. Mengele, crazy, techno-scientific, bizarre world of science fiction. And look at all these different pieces. And if you look at the pieces in totality, it's not science fiction anymore. It is science fact that man is building a biological brain to put into an encasing in a robot, or possibly rewiring an entire human brain, reprogramming it, and literally taking it over and have a new entity that is there. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? That sounds like mad scientist shit. But that's normal scientific adventures that these guys are going on today. Okay, so I mean, I know we're all looking at this war, the war for oil, the war for resources. Okay, the war against Russia and China. All right, in the end, that's where that when the rubber meets the road. Okay, the war in Iran is a war against China. It is not a war against Russia. They already have a war against Russia in Ukraine, don't they? They already have attempted to overthrow Kazakhstan, which the Russians were smart enough to go in and stop before the nation completely rolled over like Ukraine. And if Russia, as soon as the Russian president had asked for help, the Russians stood back and watched it fall. I'm sure today they will never allow that to happen again. So understand exactly, the Russians have learned a hard lesson from Ukraine. And I truly believe that that China is also looking at this tightening of the supply chain and the noose around people that don't buy into or run with the Rothschild banking empire. In all of the Epstein files, and all of those things, and all of the perverted, cannibalistic, blood-sucking, horrible shit in the Epstein files, okay? And, of course, Anthony Weiner's laptop, okay? Carlos Danger, was that his name? But anyway. Probably one of the most important things, and nobody is going to investigate this because Jeffrey Epstein said in an email he works for Evelyn Rothschild. He works for the biggest bankster in the world. And, and if you look at the tentacles of Evelyn Rothschild, you will see that he is, he is pretty much connected into anything and everything on this planet. He is, he is the proverbial parasite. And it was the Rothschilds and Israel with the Mossad and the CIA and the FBI and whoever else would join their team. But let's be honest, if you're asked to join Team Rothschild and you get anointed and you get that protection, it's almost like some of those clowns in the members of Parliament in the UK, where an entire block of seats in the upper legislature, I guess, in the upper house in the Parliament, are lords and ladies, or they're just lords. Anyway, for 700 years, they have held these positions of power because of their name. No other reason. No vote, no anything, So when people talk about the British government being a democracy and the British this and the British that, or America this and America that, I mean, listen, we're just shells of democracies and illusions of democracy that we live with today in Great Britain and in America. They have stolen our countries. They have stripped them out and they have gutted them. And here we are, we're trying to fight to get our country back. But for so many people, the cultural norm is not this idea of America and everybody being free. It's a corporate stylized monarchy that depends not on the Constitution, but, America has been conditioned to believe that their rights extend from their congresspeoples. The bimbos and bastards that we elect every 2 years, every 4 years, or six years, okay, for senators, which is, which is another robbery of this constitutional system that we have. So, yeah. I just, there's some things that were changed in the United States government that destroyed our democracy. Okay, and we're essentially living in this corporate world of what is that, Marxism? But anyway, let me get back over here to the thing. Yeah, the world is so screwed up, is so fucked up that the British are replacing Winston Churchill with a hedgehog on their money. That's right. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable, that the British government is literally wiping out every British icon that you can think of. The white flag with the red cross. Oh God, that's racism. So in a stunning betrayal, the Bank of England has announced plans to scrub Winston Churchill and other iconic British figures from the nation's bank notes. Ludicrous, swapping them out with images of wildlife, like hedgehogs, badgers, and, well, other bastards, okay? I mean, really, do we really believe that? Or is this just a hop, skip, and a jump to then they put some Ayam, or they put Muhammad on the money? Or, no, I guess you really can't use Muhammad on the money, my honey, okay? Because then I guess it would all be, well, dirty money. Bad joke. Anyway, so, yeah, these are times that are changing, and that it's being done to wipe away the history of the British people. That way it can be replaced and retaught by these clowns. Really, by these clowns. Anyway. So, yeah. What else we got going on here? Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's been doing, well, a real blow-up job. Yeah, everything she touches blows the fuck up and is, well, let's just say, Pam Bondi's work as Attorney General is very subpar. If you consider, you look at that little heavenly body of Pam Bondi, okay, that sweet little thing, you would never know she's such a fucked up lawyer, okay? In fact, she may be like Kamala Harris in the end. I'm not saying Pam Bondi, like Kamala Harris, is down under the boss's desk. All I'm trying to say is that people or women using their PACs, to get ahead, instead of give it, like some other people's. But anyway, Pam Bondi, because of the threat of sleeper cells in the United States and other threats, she has moved into a heavily guarded military base in the Washington, D.C. area. Several sources familiar with the situation say threats from drug cartels as well as political critics prompting the relocation. Political critics? I'd be more worried about, crazy people, not political critics. Or how about drug dealers? Yeah, you took down all the, and you're trying to take down all these different drug dealers. Of course, they're going to try to take care of you, and that's why, that's why Mexico has been essentially put on notice, I guess, by Trump. But things are all in such disarray everywhere that things are not going to, how should I say it? When they come back to normal, it's not going to be normal. Okay? It's going to be like another great reset, except this great reset moves us towards a militarized society because of having to push back against all of the illegal immigrants that Democrats brought in so they could gerrymander every state. All right, that's what it all boils down to. That's why illegal immigrants were allowed to invade this country. It isn't so much population replacement. It isn't so much replacing you. It is, how should we say it? It is racking, packing, and stacking them in sanctuary states. So those states end up with 2 or 3 extra U.S. House seats when it comes to do the census. And it is, and if the Supreme Court doesn't want to call it out as being downright dirty and seditious, fuck them. If the Supreme Court doesn't want to stop it, or maybe better said, if the monopoly isn't going to do anything about it, it is going to take we the people to do something about it. And it's going to be, I don't know how we can sue these monopolies that we are seeing in states, these political monopolies that have gerrymandered their states. So while 40% of the people are conservatives and Republicans and independents, they have zero representation because of the political monopoly has gerrymandered the states. We know this from New York to Maine, okay? We know this on all of the left coast of the United States of America. We see it happening everywhere now, as in Virginia they rush to violate the Constitution. As they violate the Constitution. And, listen, what I'll tell you is this gerrymandering thing, it's designed as this massive political distraction. First off, because Democrats in Virginia know it is wholly illegal. It is wholly illegal to start the voting before 90 days after the bill passes. That's a hard deadline in the Virginia Constitution. You can't get around it. What Democrats are doing in Virginia with this gerrymandering attempt is to literally get everybody to focus on this so they can pass all of these 50 tax bills where people have to pay for a fucking mattress tax if they already own it. No, not happening. Not going to pay it. Fuck you. Listen. All kinds of gun bans and magazine bans and assault weapon bans, and hell, Democrats are even gonna put a cap on the amount of farts that you can have a year. This is a sarcasm, okay? Because of global warming. Now meanwhile in Minnesota, in the state of retards, I mean, let's be honest, the citizens of Minnesota must wholly be retards, because if the whole Minnesota political system, all the government, if they can literally be outsmarted by an entire group of people that are literally on the borderline of the edge of retardation in America, okay? What does that say about Tim Walz? Does anybody believe that Tim Walz and the rest of the fucking people in Minnesota that are in the government, does anybody believe that they're that fucking retarded? Or are they just fucking criminals and they're crooks? And they did this because, well, they did it for political advantage. It was they're taking They're taking all these systems that we have to help the poor. And the politicians that are coming in, or I should say the third world citizens that are coming in mass in some cases, as we know with Somalis, okay? You know what we know? Watch your foot, baby. We know that the government in Minnesota isn't that stupid. It's not willful ignorance. It's a quid pro quo. These massive political programs, and this is why, if you want to charge these fucking politicians with crimes in Minnesota, what they have done with all the whistleblowers and with the lack of action, you essentially see a quid pro quo of money in and money circled back this way, and then money circled out the country. So the truth is that just like the rest of the American political system, except in this case in Minnesota, you have retards that know how to beg, borrow, and steal and cry and whatever to get some money. They have willing partners within state and local government who are taking kickbacks. We know it's true. We know these people aren't that stupid, and we know they're not that crooked. Or we know that they're not that crooked. Well, we don't know that because I think they are. I mean, if you're a state official and you're turning your back, blah blah blah. Yeah, I've said before. I helped my neighbor with her healthcare stuff, PPL stuff. Private-public partnership. Insurance stuff, and we do an interview. We're supposed to do an interview about every month. We're going over, talk, blah, blah, blah. 5 minutes, bang, boom, they're out of there. And at least they're there. They see what's going on. They know what the place looks like. I mean, literally, it's not like you're going to one of these Leering centers. Anyway, their person was supposed to come out, but, they quit. The person who had the job, they said, screw it, I'm not doing it. Goodbye. So, we got put off again. And that's okay. It happens. So anyway, lots of action happening everywhere, man. What else we got going on? Because there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world than the Middle East. Even though two failed civilizations that are literally still fighting among themselves after 2,000 plus years. If that's not a civilizational failure on both sides, I don't know what is. Lindsey Graham and his boyfriend threatened the Gulf states with consequences if they don't join the war against Iran. Well, I'm still waiting for Lindsey Graham to go over and personally throw himself in a flame for us. Yeah, and only then would I say Lindsey has commitment. But he hasn't thrown his own body, into the fiery pit. So, Lindsey Graham is like everybody else. He wants you to send your children to save his craziness. Here we go. Humanoid soldiers. Yeah. Tested in Ukraine. That's right. Of course, just like all the other, drone technology, drones with machine guns, and droid bots now, tested in Ukraine. Now they want to get a contract to patrol the U.S. border. And what will happen when they have a box tumble on past them? I'm just saying. It's sheer crazy. Okay. Meanwhile, a Greek billionaire says, "Fuck Iran." He says, "I'm gonna make some money." Yeah, He deployed 5 vessels, to the Middle East, offering charter rates as high as $440,000 per day, roughly 4 times the war levels. So, look and think of the exponential price of energy, okay? Essentially, can they get Venezuela back online? I don't know. It doesn't matter if Iraq is back online. It's behind the enemy line, so to speak, of the Hormuz Strait. So, yeah, now Saudi Arabia has redirected its pipelining, throw some valves in pipelines, and is now directing most of its oil to the, I think it's to the eastern part, southeastern part of the nation, where they have another, like a southern oil route that doesn't go through the Hormuz Strait. And there's like 140 different vessels that have kind of, instead of going to the Hormuz Strait, they've turned around and they're going back up in the Red Sea zone. Now the question will be, will we start to see drones, coming out of Yemen on behalf of Iran, targeting those oil tankers that have now changed routes? Okay, that would open up yet another choke point. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's wide open, in all honesty. Well, the how should we say it? The credit of New York City took a hit the other day as Moody's cuts New York City's rating outlook despite the Mandami protests. The negative outlook reflects the emergence of a sizable and persistent projected budget gaps that signal underlying structural imbalance and reduced financial flexibility, despite New York's still favorable economic conditions, allegedly. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't think living in New York is economical at all. When you look at the rest of the United States, you have to say, it ain't so good. That's what I would say. Meanwhile, Israel is upset and AIPAC is on the warpath. That's right. I'm sure they're calling every congressman that they have on their payroll today, giving them some shekels and saying, you get out there and talk on our behalf. A GOP candidate dominates the Florida youth vote in the governor's race. No American should die for Israel, he says. And, that's true. That's true. The United States and Donald Trump and his bromance with Bibi Netanyahu, and then all of the all of the kumbaya-ism and war this and war that, and I save those people, and and that's what that's all it takes. All it takes is for Bibi Netanyahu to say, "Oh God, Donald, you saved us. Oh, you're the hero. You're the man, Donald." I mean, I could hear him blowing smoke up his ass, laughing at him behind him. He said, "Look at that dumb motherfucker." And we already got the goods on him with Jeffrey Epstein's in the files. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest. Trump has taken on a foreign policy of what Biden under the CIA administration would, under what Trader 44 would have, under what Hillary Clinton would be pushing right now. Look at the actions of Donald Trump. Look at what the shit he talked and what he's doing now. Okay? Between his bromance and his loving and this idea that he's foisted to become this historic leader and blah blah blah. I mean, listen, Donald Trump's ego is already big enough when it goes in the fucking room. Nobody else can be there. And how do you get Donald Trump's favor? Well, you blow his ego up some more. You make him look good on the world stage. You say all this stuff and you tell them all these good stuff where they're kissing their ass. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump's administration, 6 months in or less of his new Trump administration, it went off the rails. It did. It just fell into an Israeli pit of chaos. So anyway, yeah. Let's see. This guy says, I will stop the H-1B scam. That's the worker scam. Tell Blackstone that they can't buy our homes. Cancel the AI data centers. And abolish property taxes. Wow. Now, I see a lot of that can happen. He proposed a 50% sin tax on OnlyFans. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's not a sustainable tax, dummy. I mean, if you want to have a sin tax, then, then where does the sin tax end? There is none, okay? Are they going to have a kosher tax too? Are they going to have a halal meat tax too? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's asinine. What kind of world that we're slipping into, where people are always told they have to choose this side or that side. No, you don't. You can mind your own fucking business, okay? How about that for a foreign policy for the United States for a change, okay? How about we fix America, all right? Listen, it used to be old beat up West Virginia, Appalachian mountains and shit. I mean, and listen, they're still some there, okay? But let's be honest. Look at the complete social failure of the experiment that they call California, where that is literally a failed nation. It's a piece of this republic, right? And it is a completely failed nation. But when you have a government that literally says it's everything for everyone, it turns out that it can't really do anything for anybody. Because it becomes a way of life. It doesn't become a hand up and a step out and people can get on their own feet. That's not the world and society that we have today. In fact, I would say most states and most governments encourage people to stay on food stamps and stay on unemployment and stay on welfare and stay on all this stuff. Because the simple fact is, without all these people coming for these benefits, they wouldn't have jobs. I'm just saying. Okay? So, yeah. What else? Big stuff we got going on in the world? Well, of course, drone strikes, possibly in California. Yes, the FBI is alert after there have been rumors that the Iranians are giving the green light to death squads and terror cells in America. There had been even discussions as early as earlier this year of drone attacks in California. Look, the truth is, you can buy a drone. You can put a gallon of gasoline and something else on it, you know, and drop it from a drone. Or crash the drone into something and set it all on fire. I mean, Molotov cocktails at gas stations. I mean, come on. It's crazy. Okay. The hackers evidently have joined the war. Missiles aimed at Jerusalem. The FBI California drone attacks. Yeah. So there you go. You know, the miscalculation of Donald Trump yet again. Now remember, Donald Trump is using the information that he gets in these meetings, briefings, and memos. Okay, Donald Trump has provided all kinds of advice and intelligence and tactical assessments and all this stuff. Even though we should know and understand that all of them come split on an angle. Split on an angle. So Donald Trump has a certain picture in his mind of what the situational rep is, you know, what the sit rep is, what the awareness is. But Donald Trump's lied to. The New York Times come out, of course, and said that it's going poorly in Iran. And that is, it's turning into a quagmire, like Vietnam. Because it's going sideways. It's not going, you know, Iran is not imploding. Don't expect Iran to implode. It's foolish to think they would. We'll be back over there on Revolution Radio. We'll be back right after the break, man. So Revolution Radio is kind of rolling out through the way here. But yeah, I mean, the New York Times came out the other day and threw Donald Trump and the entire administration under the bus. Everybody knows that the CIA, you know, the FBI, the NSA, the government intel services, you know, that the New York Times is their public information awareness outlet. The Washington Post plays second fiddle, but they're both on the same page. They're both in the same. Orchestra, and they've got the same people in the media in the choir singing the same fucking songs. So if you are confused as to why people think the way they do, and why the how should I say it? And why people cannot change. It is because the system keeps them addicted into that square, into that paradigm, into that gilded cage that you cannot see, that you can hear, that's going down. Yeah. So, you know, you get whispers of tyranny. You get shadows in the light, man. You have innuendo. You have all of these things that are working on you and your conscious and your subconscious all at the same time. And, you know, the only way I've found to combat a lot of that, besides massive amounts of tetrahydrocannabinol, Delta 9, it is my favorite. I admit it. Anyway, is to think and read and use your frontal cortex. Even if you're listening to multiple layers, a layer of music, a layer of inspirational story behind it, and then a layer of advertisements or whatever is popping up in between when you're trying to do something else. You have to keep your mind very active, because if you don't, you will quickly become absorbed by the blob. You really will. You'll become absorbed by that blob. So yeah, you know, where in the heck was that? There it is. I think that was it. But anyway, so yeah, we just got lots of shit going on, and it is not going to end, because they depend and they need this information overload that people get stuck in. They have to have it, because if they don't have people loaded up, so to speak, okay? If they don't have their mind completely engaged all of the time, then then the system unravels, okay? You know, just as this, you know, as I showed this the other day. And, you know, understand, you know, you're being brainwashed. They're out here working fucking overtime. They're working overtime to bend your fucking brain, to brainwash you. They got social media out there with bots. Okay, here's this. Check this out.
There was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces, and we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
So you want to respond to that a little?
He's openly admitting it. When you look at the photo of the Situation Room, and you see Trump is with the A-team in Mar-a-Lago when they just decided to go. Chief of Staff controls who's in the room and everything Trump sees and hears. She is the most dangerous person in Washington. She worked for Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump's chief of staff was hired by Benjamin Netanyahu to help assist his 2020 re-election campaign. So she's a paid vehicle for Israeli influence.
Wow.
Then politics on behalf of Israel. And then you have John Ratcliffe, who, as I reported last year, is being called by junior staffers the Mossad stenographer, because he hosts his counterpart, Mossad Director David Barnea, constantly, and Barnea tells him what to tell the president.
Wow.
AIPAC new CEO, in leaked comments that I exposed at the Gray Zone, the new CEO of AIPAC said, "We've been working with Marco Rubio and John Ratcliffe and Mike Waltz, who's now the UN ambassador for the US. We've been working with them for so long because they were in Congress. And when they all started running for Congress, we recruited them and we made sure that we supported them for their entire congressional career, so that when they went into the Trump administration, we had clear lines of communication with all of the national security principles."
Bingo! Here it is. Boils down to it.
Talking about with Marco Rubio, which just kind of hammers home what you're saying about that Israel is our leader and we're following them, and our government has been taken over by Zionists.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces, and we knew that we didn't preempt.
Welcome back, everybody. God, let me turn this thing off. Yeah, welcome back. That's Puppets on a String, all right? Let's understand what is actually going on, Trump. As I said, meetings, briefings, and memos. If you have a bunch of corrupted motherfuckers around Trump, they can isolate him. No different no different than the world, or most of America, I should say, those that pay attention knew that Joe Biden was a fucking piece of cauliflower. He was broccoli. He was a motherfucking vegetable. That's what Joe Biden was for most of his presidency, okay? If not all of his presidency. Because you have gatekeepers, because you have people that isolate the president, and because right now the president of the United States of America is caught up in an Israeli spy fucking program that has surrounded him with Israeli spies, pushing him to be what? Oh man, I just, there's not a whole fucking hell of a lot to say, okay? But the thing is, everybody's afraid to say it because they will be smited. You anti-smited one. I'm into anti-smited it. Now let's just quit all the fucking stupid language and call genociders what they are, okay? Let's call Zionists what they are. Modern day butchers. Bastards of the brain. Let's just say the truth, but tell God, they'll just fucking eviscerate you. They'll throw you out. They'll throw you under the bus so fast that the fucking back tires will just go a little bump bump. Yeah. The world is so fucking retarded and stupid, it's not even funny. Yeah, like Erica Kirk, okay, Charlie Kirk's living wife with Charlie Kirk dead, said multiple places that she was another one of those Mossad honeypot dealers. But anyway, imagine that. Erica Kirk is now on the Air Force Academy Board of Directors. You have got to be fucking kidding me, okay? The dancer, the stripper, the Charlie Kirk's wifey has I don't know. I mean, what a fucking joke. Really, it's an entire fucking joke on the American people. What our government is, how it works, and what it does, okay? Yeah. Let's see, where are we at? As many as 150 U.S. troops have been so far, quote-unquote, wounded in this battle, okay? I wonder, was this a video clip? I didn't know if it was a video clip or not. This thing they were talking about, here it is. Yeah, it's a clip. Well, hang on a second. We'll get it out here. This DARPA hydrogel, okay, is this, remember, what was mRNA technology? To inject an operating system into you that created a process to trigger the creation of a spike protein. Basically, a biomechanical adaptation of biology to trigger a immune response, okay? So, as I said, remember I was going off on that little screed earlier about they've got everybody segregated and separated and compartmentalized, and before you know it, this entire weapon system comes together, or this entire, the entire biological computer systems come together, and all the technology is there, developed all separately for this, that, and the other. But this is some of the crazy stuff that we see that is going on, and you think that the stuff at the Wuhan Institute of Virology is bad. Look at it. Watch this shit.
Flocks, entire, thousands of birds, and then destroying them based on these tests. So do you think that people are not really testing positive for anything? Or do you think that
did you hear that?
People are just...
Did you hear that? She said they're infecting flocks of thousands of birds. And then the fucking birds, you know, I guess they send out a signal and like the birds like die.
And now we're sitting...
And we're seeing that with the bird flu recently. You know, they're PCR testing flocks, entire, you know, thousands of birds, and then destroying them based on these tests. So do you think that people are not really testing positive for anything, or do you think that people are just dealing with you know, exposure to this bioweapon differently?
So what they're actually doing is seeding the brain with two different things. One, the hydrogel to get it past the blood-brain barrier. So if you stick that swab up close, way up the nasal, there's not very far to go to get that hydrogel into the brain. And what's hydrogel? Hydrogel was developed by DARPA, who wanted to chip every single person, but they didn't want to have to do brain surgery to do it. And so they developed hydrogel, which is a gel, and now it's in the air. It's in all of our food supply. It's in all pharmaceuticals, or most, I would say probably 90% of the pharmaceuticals at this point. I don't care if it's Tylenol or chemotherapy, it's there. Matter of fact, somebody just sent me, she lives in Spain, and she sent it to 2 laboratories in France, and it was a bottle of lidocaine that she had gotten at the dentist. Yeah. And there were the creepy crawlies in the bottle, and hydrogel and graphene in the bottle of lidocaine that she had gone to the dentist. And she was terrified because she started getting all these heart palpitations and different things, symptoms. So, you know, we've all got to be really careful. We cannot go into a bubble. This is where it's really important not to fear. You need to have your wits about you. You need to reduce and minimize your exposure.
Can you explain the hydrogel? You're the first person I've noted that talked about the quantum dot technology being the same as hydrogel. Well, I remember seeing and hearing about the quantum dot tattoo years before, as I saw little signs up in the airport about ID 2020. And so I immediately looked when I saw it, because there's the signs in the airport about ID 2020. I was like, what is this all about? This is years ago, right? This is probably 2016, maybe somewhere around there. I thought, what is ID 2020, right? What is that? And come to find out, it's actually, you know, technology that Bill Gates has developed along with this quantum dot tattoo is also his invention. So when you started kind of using hydrogel and quantum dot technology interchangeably, I was intrigued by that. Can you talk about that?
So hydrogel does not necessarily have color to it. It can, but typically if you see something that is unnatural in color, and I'll give you an example in just a moment, then it is probably quantum dot. And what would be the difference? It's because they use different types of imaging equipment, everything from satellites to drones to airplanes to scanners that you see alongside the highway are scanning your body. And they can pick up exactly what's going on in your body.
Good God.
With the signatures of those various colors.
And we're seeing that with the bird flu recently.
Wow. Well, so, you know, welcome to the Franken world. You know, there is supposed to be this rumor of depopulation somewhere along the way. And if you look at vaccines, have been a potent weapon to do that. Some people say vaccines are about extending life. And, well, the truth is, when you look at the real scientific data, vaccines introduce toxins into your body, and you suffer later from them. You know, it's like drinking contaminated water at Camp Lejeune. You know, some shit, you know, even though you stop drinking that nasty, you know, trichloroethylene laced water that smells like fucking dry cleaning fluid. Even if you stop drinking it, even if you move back home, even if you go down there and get your old spring water going, the damage is done. The same thing with vaccines, I believe, in many cases. The damages are done. I'm not saying avoid vaccines. I'm not saying avoid doctors. I'm saying use your own brain. That's all I'm trying to say. Well, talking about re-examination of a lot of stuff. What about ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. you know, when kids are put in a little box in a school system and said, sit right there, don't move, pay attention. I mean, give me a break. You know, how many 8-year-old, 10-year-olds pay a fucking attention? Let alone sit there for 40 minutes or an hour or whatever it is in a chair. And, you know, it's almost, you know, it's almost teaching your mind to be dead already. But, yeah, if a kid can't sit still, man, they'll give him some good drugs that will help him zoom right in. That's sad, isn't it? Yeah, but they're finding now, and after all the years, that ADHD may not be a psychiatric disorder at all. It could just be, you know, kids that have a lot of energy, and they don't, you know, they don't care to sit at a desk and whatever. Okay. Yeah, I got into talking about Minnesota and how the retarded they are up there, and I don't know if I got into the meat of the problem or the meat of the issue, because, you know, as I said, you know, when a culture of all but retarded people con you out of billions of dollars, you must be fully retarded as a state, okay? Here's proof positive that Minnesota is full of fucking retards. Yeah, that's right. People with fucking IQs that are fucking, well, let's just say lower than the temperature of freezing. All right? I think 32 IQ is a little generous for those in the Minnesota state government. Democrats in Minnesota moved to ban semi-automatic rifles, assault weapons, and other stuff. And they said, you can keep your gun, but you have to allow us to inspect your house and inspect all your guns and inspect all your shit. Look, everybody knows this is so blatantly unconstitutional. It's like they're trying to unconstitutional the retards in Richmond, Virginia. I mean, you know, listen, I mean, you have to be wholly fucking ignorant and stupid as a political monopoly, as a political body, to literally to pass this and try and even fucking try to implement it in the state, okay? Because I may go to Minnesota and stand with the fucking gun owners. And I really don't know what the retards in Minnesota are going to do when they come and they knock on the door. I'm here to inspect your guns. Yeah. And the guy on the other side of the door says, fuck you and go to hell. That's Civil War shit. Yeah. Democrats, of course, across the country are banning 10 and 15 round magazines. That includes Virginia and Minnesota recently, okay? However, you know, this idea that that they can not only ban rifles and magazines with more than 10 bullets, but citizens that had purchased them prior, grandfathered in, can only keep them if they agree to allow the police to enter their homes and inspect storage and safety conditions. I mean, really? 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 How many dead fucking cops do you think are going to be out there in the fucking knocking on doors? Well, knocking on doors, saying they're here to see your gun, and then they fucking get killed. Okay? Because gun owners shouldn't be allowing, you know, these Fourth Amendment violations, and that's exactly what they are. And everybody in the fucking world knows it, including the motherfucking Democratic bastards that fucking voted it in. They know it's unconstitutional, but they don't care. They're communists. They're not Democrats, okay? They don't care about your rights and your civil liberties. They will pass unconstitutional laws day in and day out saying, you can't do this and you can't do that, and nobody really has to pay attention to them. And the government coming to commit unconstitutional acts against the citizens have the right to shoot the fucking bastards, okay? That may not be popular. They might call that terrorism in some cases. But that's not a terrorist going out with a Property of Allah shirt on and going into a bar and opening a fire. We're talking about tyrants coming onto somebody's land and taking their guns, or demanding they be inspected, or demanding all this shit that they do today. The unconstitutional acts of governments everywhere in the United States. Our federal government is wholly unconstitutional for almost 80% of what it does, maybe 95%. And the states, on top of that, have decided that we're just gonna be oppressive. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, you got to be full blown fucking retard in Minnesota. The Democrats in the state and House and the state Senate and the governor, they're just full-blown fucking retards, okay? They do not care about your constitutional rights or your civil liberties. They're only there to do massive quid pro quos, massive political favoritism and bias for groups that will vote for them. And this is, we talk about, in the past in the United States, people often discussed about, how bad it would be when there were so many people on the dole. There were so many people getting food stamps and all these different government programs and sucking off the government tit one way or the other. Because let's be honest, homeowners do it, corporations do it, poor people do it because, well, they have to survive. Anyway, this parasitic government will not stop. Because it literally, they want to do everything for everybody and satisfy every person. And you can't. And you never will. That's why the Constitution is supposed to be there. Where the Bill of Rights, which was added, 3 years after the Constitution was originally written? Replace the Articles of Confederation. That's such a murky history to me. I kind of fast forward myself to after World War II, when the last major replacement of our government with a deep state financial and intelligence, spies and bankers running the fucking world, man. So yeah, that was like that before. They had to adjust, recalculate with Bretton Woods after World War II. Then the CIA said, fuck it, we might as well just kill the president. And we'll put our man in there, Lyndon Baines Johnson. May the bastard burn in hell. Yeah. Anyway, Minnesota has just thrown away America, thrown away the Constitution. Same as they're doing in Virginia, same as they've done in every communist state. I mean, Democrat state. Yeah, kind of a intentional Freudian slip there, because understand, Democrats are communists today. That's the truth that nobody wants to talk about. Okay. What do we got here? COVID. Yeah, remember that COVID scamodemic thing? Remember, it was just an exercise. Okay. It was just an effort to a trial run, so to speak. And they had to do a test to see how many fucking dumb motherfuckers would fall for the Stanley Milgram's test of, I'm from the government, and the test, you must continue. They did this. You know, they found so many willing nurses and doctors that would do whatever the government directed them to do. They knew that there's a lot of people that will murder patients using protocols they know murder, they know kill, they know bring death and destruction to the body, but they didn't fucking care. Okay. It was all a trial run, because they have to see who's going to obey. They want to know who's going to reject who's going to reject all this shit. So yeah, what the hell, man? Did somebody probably come in here and just put a smear on top of my camera there? It looks like, or something. I don't know. Just it's out of focus today. Just kind of like me feeling. But, yeah, it's sheer crazy. But anyway, here we go. You want to know about the trial run for the scamdemic? Well, here it is.
I really think the best days of Pfizer are ahead of us. Because COVID was, for me, like a rehearsal, a prova generale. How you can mobilize an organization and do the impossible possible against a main disease. We are after cancer and many other things in the years to come. I truly think the best days of Pfizer are ahead of us.
Now, this is the CEO of Pfizer essentially say, yeah, man, it was a great rehearsal to see how many people, how much we could pull together and how quick we could do it. What they don't know and understand is they blew their wad. They'll never be able to get that back up again. I don't give a shit if they give it little blue pills. I don't give a shit what the government does or says. It's just like the fake stream media, okay? Once they were defined as fake news, people then moved on to realize that they weren't, it wasn't fake, it was propaganda. It was a mind fuckery. And that's what people are now doing and are realizing and are pointing out about what? Pointing out about the fucking medical system and vaccines and the Rockefeller fucking keep you sick medical industry that we have today. They aren't about curing people. It's about organized corruption of medicine. It's control. And it all boils down to money. It doesn't make anybody safer or healthier. It all boils down to how much money that they can steal out of the system. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the internet, if you're not aware, which you may be, there are bots, robots, text and social media and all kind of bots everywhere. In fact, they say 38% of internet traffic is from a bot. Okay, a lot of these too are advertising, inserting bots in here and there, and gathering information and data and cookies and, well, the whole gambit of anything that they can scrape up off the internet, because information is what? Is power. And power can be monetized and turned into an asset and a resource. So, understand that all of your information is up for grabs. Always remember that, okay? That the biggest thing in the world today is data and information. It's actually right up there with natural resources. In fact, data and information has always been superior to the amount of resources you have. Because if you have the data and information, weak spots, weak points, in wars and in politics. Remember, politics is war by another means. So whenever you're looking at the internet and you're looking at Democrats and Republicans, understand, they've got these bots, they've got algorithms, they got all these things that they're deploying against your brain, okay? To convince you to be on their side of some topic or some idea. However, now there is a massive trend. A trend of bots that are negative, the bots that are destructive, bots that brainwash directly instead of inform and give people consent. They literally steal the free will of individuals through the subconscious brainwashing that they're doing. That is old-time spycraft there. And we'll never stop, okay? Well, what else we got going on here? Bump. Insurance is a weapon because of the Straits of Hormuz and the price of oil and the price of tanker and the price of business. I mean, that, like I said, that Greek billionaire, $440,000 a day. Cost you, $1.2 billion just to move a big load of oil across the sea. Wow, that's pretty damn expensive, isn't it? So, listen, and I don't believe that we have really seen the economic shock and the price that is that the war in Iran for on the behalf of Israel by the United States is going to do a damn thing. Okay. Now, Pete Hegseth, War Department chief, he travels around to a lot of military installations, and I think when he goes to a military installation, he orders steak and lobster for the entire base. Okay. So then he knows what's going to be fed. But there's complaints about $22 million being used for steak and lobster for troops. I mean, really? Sorry, but people that before you go into combat, they give you a big spread, a big meal, a nice hot something or another, get you all cleaned up, and so if you die, at least your belly's full. That sounds fucked up, but that's how it is, okay? Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer and Democrats are still holding off on that piece of the budget that deals with ICE. And they have not, how should we say it? They have not, they have not made a deal yet because they want to hold hostage money for immigration control services, okay? And, basically they want to try to stop the deportation of Democrat placeholder bodies in states because of the census, okay? That's the real deal with the Democrats and illegal immigrants and such, okay? Don't think they really care about the children, because that would be a mistake. Oh, come on, man.
Voter registration. Yes, but their bill isn't voter ID, number one. It is about voter registration. It allows ICE to kick tens of millions of people off the rolls.
Tens of millions of people off the rolls.
And they don't tell them until Election Day, and you show up and you say, you're not registered anymore. You're not registered here. You're not on the rolls. Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the big fat lie. Chuck Schumer is saying the quiet part out loud, okay? They're going to knock 10 million illegal immigrants and other people that shouldn't be voting off the voter rolls. That's what the SAVE Act is going to do, because people have to show an ID. Now, I'll be honest with you. I think that that's one of the reasons that China has been caught shipping in tens of thousands of phony IDs in people's names. If you have 15 different names and faces and addresses, so to speak, or names with your same face or whatever, you should be able to register to vote multiple times, the way they do it in a lot of these states. So yeah, what I would say is understand, Democrats know that they enable the blurring of the lines in when it comes to citizen and non-citizen. Okay, they do it on purpose. All right, Democrats don't lie just for a reason, even though it seems like every time they move their lips, they're lying. Okay. Donald Trump has expanded the ban on foreigners receiving small business loans. I mean, why should foreigners be receiving small business loans meant for American citizens? Anyway, so Trump says the SBA is committed to driving economic growth and job creation for American citizens. SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler said, "Last month we made it clear that the SBA would not allow foreign nationals to access our core small business loan programs." Look, all of this is coming out of Minnesota fraud. But when you look at it, the truth is that this fraud is systemic across the entire United States. There were 3 or 4 black women in North Carolina that were arrested for literally doing the same thing that they were doing in Minnesota, where the Somalis were literally, giving people kickbacks to use their information, making up information, having artificial intelligence fill out forms, fake forms, and send it all in, and literally have no kids and start and receiving the money. And once you start receiving the money, it's how should I say it? If you're smart, you can keep that going for a while. And, if you run your scam appropriately. And clearly that's what people do, until the paperwork and the numbers seem so far out of the norm that they cannot legitimize it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Wow, here it is. 6 now. The 6th ship has been struck. $100 a tanker, $100 oil, tops $100, I guess, as tanker attacks escalate hours after Trump says we won. Sorry, Donnie. Yeah, I mean, this is some crazy stuff here. So, shipping turmoil escalates. Multiple vessels struck overnight. At least 6. Brent crude oil prices top 100 amid largest supply disruption in the history of the global market. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says the U.S. Navy is not ready to escort tankers through the Hormuz Straits. Well, that's because they know what... I mean, really. I mean, there's a lot of cover and concealment on that flat water out there. They might see them coming for miles. Dubai suffered significant drone attacks. Northern Israel hammered by Hezbollah. The IDF says it has struck a key Iranian nuclear development site. U.S. intel assesses Iranian regime remains intact. Well, a surprise. Meanwhile, Trump said yesterday that we're running out of footage. We're running out of footage. I mean, footage, yeah. We're running out of targets. That AI just says it can't find targets to effectively attack. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, really. Anyway, so, yeah, Brent crude hit 101. Is it going to stay that way? If that is up, so is silver and gold and everything else, more than likely. Yeah, silver's up to $87.17 an ounce in U.S. $4.24, 5.1% over the week. So, yeah, dollar is climbing up again. Remember, we're going to see pump, and then you're going to see dump, and then you're going to see pump, and then you're going to see dump. And, you know, if the reporting is accurate, that they're literally looking at, how should I say it? Looking at a rare earth minerals shortage in the USA. All of those prices will go up. Copper prices will go up. In fact, in Europe, there is a massive scandal unfolding where a Chinese copper supplier sent fake copper. I mean, how do you send fake copper? Was it just like copper plated on the outside like they do gold and silver and other ingots? You know, or, you know, was it so impure they couldn't use it? Or, you know, I mean, you really... There's a lot of questions that, you know, that people got to ask, right? But just be aware that the price of everything is going to go up. The problem that we're seeing is as I pointed out the other day, the price of a calf, okay, being literally $2,000 a calf now, instead of $200 a calf. Just add a zero. You know, look at price of what hamburger and other meat is going to be if they are paying $2,000 for a cow. Okay. The other part of that is they might have to be replacing a lot of their cattle that have been contaminated and killed and genetically modified with MMR type vaccines for cattle. because those MMR vaccines were moving into the the veterinarian side of medicine. So I mean, it's crazy. So understand that the price of everything is, I hate to say it, but it could double. The price of everything could triple. I'm just putting it out there to let you know. So if you have a place to grow a garden, you might want to prepare that for this year. I'm just saying it's nice enough now that you could get out there and have your own food source, and get yourself some books. Whether they're on edible plants or they're on the Foxfire series of books on old time living in Appalachian mountains. That's a good resource. There are a lot of things that you can look at and do. And get a natural apothecary, natural medicine books. So you can go out and and get some of that hillbilly cabbage or whatever the hell they call it. It's if you need some morphine or you need some, you can make it right there at your house. It grows all summer. Most people don't even know. They don't want to know. And I understand you're living high in the hog and free, and nobody cares. Nobody really cares. Yeah. Anyway, Hormuz Strait must remain closed, the new supreme leader of Iran says. The Ayatollah obsessed with the end of days. Yeah, I imagine. But is he in a coma? Did they already blow him up and knock him out? I don't know. But yeah, everything is unsettled, and everything is not going to wash itself out evenly, if that makes any sense to you guys. Let's see. A fresh U.S. intel assessment says the Iranian regime is not close to collapse after 2 weeks of war. Consistent analysis that the regime is not in danger is going everywhere. Yeah. Epstein guard called to testify as oversight committee explores potential murder. $5,000 deposit and Google searches beforehand. Will this guy die in accidentally get pushed in front of a subway? Will he fall out of a building, or will something fall on him? Will he get to testify, or will he just, end up as another victim in, a long line of assassinated people that knew too much? Okay. DHS Inspector General launched a probe into a $220 million contract for Kristi Noem ads. The senator repeatedly pressed Kristi Noem of why it was awarded to 3 companies. Well, I guess, when ABC, NBC, CBS, or fake Fox News and, trying to get it out there, I don't know. Yeah, let's just say this is all Trump derangement syndrome stuff, okay? This attack against Kristi Noem is an attack against Trump, is an attack against what Trump is doing, because what Trump has done is they have literally put out their own propaganda, which undoes and displaces the propaganda that the deep state has been running for decades. Okay? So, it's something that they have to do. Okay? The letters to the 3 companies, Safe America Media, People Who Think, and Yoho's Strategy Group. So yeah, they got contracts to do advertising for for DHS, and probably about immigration. I mean, listen, there is some, you can change the mind of some people, a few that are on the fence when it comes to this illegal immigration stuff, okay? But the truth is that 40%, 30 to 40% of America is so involved, so captured, so sucked in, so associated with the illegal immigrants in America that they will go to war for their illegal immigrants. And we have seen that on the streets where idiots literally, chase people around, attack people because they think they might be ICE, okay? Or they might be this, or they might be that, or, and the truth is that those people are terrorists in America, okay? If you're out there stalking ICE, if you're out there putting up intersections for roadblock checks and stuff like that, you're a fucking terrorist, okay? Just because some pussy shit government or some federal retards have not declared you terrorists yet doesn't make you a terrorist. KKK Antifa, with all their black hoods and all the black shit, they're just the modern day KKK. Let's be honest about it. They're no different than the KKK, except their ideology is Marxist instead of old-time Democrat. Classic Democrat. Owned slaves. Let's be honest. Man, it's a world of stupid. And there's no off-ramp. I understand why Elon Musk wants to go to Mars to live. I mean, I completely get it. Or somebody wants to build Elysium, the space city, or a city on the moon. I more than understand it, okay? Because, it's really, what's really fucked up is that, what should be and is essentially the most free and socially free nation from general discrimination and general bias and all this other stuff. This is the United States. It's not Africa. It's not any Muslim society, because there is no outside religion in a Muslim society, right? There is no outside religion in what? In a Jewish society. Let's just fucking say it, all right? Because they believe that they are supremacists. And if you belong to a religion that believes they have a supremacist ideology, and you call the rest of the world goyim, or you call the rest of the world infidels, and they're just there to be used by, however you lie and how you lie and everything else. And that's why I said, that's why I have said before, whether it's Judaism or Islam, they're not compatible with the freedoms that we have in the United States of America. And the people that follow those religions inherently believe that you are inferior to them, no different than the Democrat Party did to black people. You're slaves. You're just dirt under these people's feet. Do you realize that? Do you know that? Do you comprehend it yet? Because there are enough clerics, there are enough rabbis, out here telling people who they are and where they're at, and that they should just get down on their knees and beg and plead and just do everything that their Jewish or their Muslim masters say. All right. And in America, we're our own masters, and we'll tell them to go fucking pound sand. It doesn't matter if they're Israeli or if they're fucking, Muslim, okay? Like I said, as I said early in the show, both sides are failed religions and failed failed empires and historical cultures of the past. They're a complete failure of a civilization, just proving that in the heart of most men, there is no civilized man. It is only the culturalized shell of the being that is, well, let's just say that he's living his, quote unquote, what he believes is his moment. Yeah. When they get to the other end, then they'll realize that, fuck, I was wrong. Oh, that's okay. I would wish people would wake up and admit that they're wrong about certain things before they die, before it's too late to really change. So, yeah. Italy challenges the EU carbon tax. Literally, listen, a carbon tax. I mean, communists, socialists, and Marxists, just like corporations, they will never pay. You, the taxpayer, you, the consumer, you, the retail purchaser, you will always pay 100% in the end of these, well, what's the way to say it? Of the taxes and the hidden costs that corporations and governments face. All the burden of all the corporations and all the governments are on you. You have to understand that governments and corporations are basically, communist functions. And they collapse when they run out of other people's money. Right now there is a call to tax protest the United States of America and Donald Trump. Can you imagine that? Wow, I must be I was only years ahead of my time. I hope I'll have to wait for the rest of the fucking world to catch up. Anyway, God bless you all. And remember that you do change the world. And thank you over there on Revolution Radio. We're going to continue for a minute or two here on Rumble and YouTube and wherever. But yeah, it's just understand. It's a lot of shit going down. And I absolutely agree there, Dirt Hawker. The world is run by nut jobs. And you know what? You know what's even nuttier? They've convinced you that they're more competent than you are. I could have the VA that was out the window a long time ago. But anyway, yeah. So snow and rain and everything else blowing through right now and this morning, and then hopefully we'll get some good weather. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow for Crazy Ass Fridays. God bless. Good day and good luck.